All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. So welcome everyone to the Flashtract and Sage 300 integration webinar. We're excited to have you guys. For the webinar presenters today, we have myself, Matt Kelly. I'm an implementation consultant here at Flashtract. And with me, I have Mike Valite. He's a product manager here. He specializes in the integrations, and he's been working on the Sage 300 Flashtract integration. So just to go over the agenda today, we're going to start off with an integration overview. After that, we're going to get into a field mapping diagram showing how the different fields in Sage correspond to the different fields in Flashtract. And then after that, we're going to talk about the benefits of using Flashtract along with your Sage 300 system. After that, we're going to get into a process flow of what happens once the data flows from Sage into Flashtract, and then eventually how it flows from Flashtract back into Sage. Then we're going to get into a live product demo inside of Flashtract. And then we'll just go over some of the configuration options you have around your integration. And then at the end, we'll get into Q&A if you guys have any questions. So Flashtract is going to connect with Sage 300 via an API connection. This is a real-time API connection, meaning that this data is just going to flow right into Flashtract automatically. This integration is going to be available for both on-prem and cloud-hosted solutions for Sage, and we can get you implemented in less than 30 days. So once this integration is set up, we'll be able to bring over those jobs, commitments, commitment items, any commitment change orders, and any vendors associated with those commitments. We can import those right into Flashtract. And then after those invoices have been approved in Flashtract, we'll be able to push those invoices along with the attachments, so those pay apps, lien waivers, things like that, back into Sage 300. So here's just a field mapping diagram showing how the different fields in Sage relate to the different fields in Flashtract. So the jobs in Sage, those will come over into Flashtract as projects. Any commitments underneath that job will come into Flashtract as subcontracts. Any commitment change orders will come into Flashtract just as change orders. Any of the vendors that are associated with those commitments will be brought into Flashtract as vendors. And then lastly, once you have those approved invoices on those subcontracts in Flashtract, we'll be able to push those back into Sage. So the benefits of using Flashtract along with your Sage 300 system is we'll be able to provide a real-time import of that project data. So as you're creating those commitments, change orders, jobs, all in Sage, those will just start to come over to Flashtract automatically. And this is really going to build a lot of confidence knowing that your subs are billing against the most accurate accounting data. As soon as the change orders gets created, that'll get brought over into Flashtract so that when the sub goes to submit their bill, it's already there and they can bill against it. And then we do all of the math for your subs. We really reduce a lot of human error, and we eliminate a lot of manual data entry. So once the sub goes in, they set up the percentages that they want to bill against their schedule of values. We're going to calculate the payment due, balance to finish, retainage, everything like that. And then we're going to then populate all the documents. So pay apps, lien waivers, things like that. And then once we're able to create those and those invoices are created in Flashtract, we're able to push those back into Sage. So you're not going to have to manually enter those invoices anymore. And this really leads to increased visibility across everyone in your internal team. So you're going to have one place to have all of these jobs, contracts, invoices. So you're not going to have to be reaching out to people asking if this sub is billed already. You know, how much did they bill for? You're not going to have to search through emails. It's all going to be in one place. And then really because we automatically generate all of those documents, you're going to know that the math is going to be correct, that all of the documents that you want to collect are required and are submitted by the sub. So we really streamline the approval process because all you really need to do is go in and look at the percentages of what the subs are billing and make sure that ties to what they're doing in the field. So now I'm just going to go over a process flow. So this all starts once you link that project in Sage with Flashtract. So as soon as you set up that link, those projects and the commitments will start to come over automatically. So once you bring it over into Flashtract, there's just a little bit of configuration that you need to do. So setting up the documents you want to collect, setting up compliance items you want to track, things like that. And once you've set that up, you can go ahead and invite your subcontractors. Once you've invited your subcontractor, they can go in and they can set up their schedule of values. And then that schedule of values, typically in Sage, you're not tracking the cost at that level of detail. It's at that commitment item level of detail. So what we allow you to do is map that lower level of detail schedule of values to those commitment items, so that as the sub is billing against that schedule of values, we can push those costs back into Sage at that commitment item level of detail. So once the sub has set up that schedule of values, they can go ahead and they can start submitting their pay applications. Once they submit that, you can review it in Flashtract, and then you can go ahead and approve it. And once it's approved in Flashtract, then you can then push those invoices along with the attachments back into Sage. And it's really important to note that once you form that initial link between Sage and Flashtract for that project, any new project data is just going to automatically flow into Flashtract. As you create new commitments, new change orders, add new vendors to the job, those will automatically just flow into Flashtract without any manual intervention from you. So now I'm going to get into a product demo. So here I have Flashtract brought up. This is the dashboard where you'll see all of your active projects. So if you want to link a job in Sage into Flashtract, all you have to do is come over here to integrations. We have this Sage 300 integration portal. You can just click Start Import. And here you can see all of the jobs that you have in Sage that are available to be imported. So we have this imported column right here letting you know which jobs you've imported and which ones you haven't. So if you wanted to bring over a new one, you just need to select it, click Next. It lets you know that it's going to bring over the subcontracts or commitments, any vendors, and any change orders. And then all you need to do is click Import. So once you do that, you can click right here and you can see this job has been linked. And now any commitments, change orders, any data associated with the project will start to flow over into Flashtract automatically. So I already have this job right here where I went in and did some configurations. So just for the sake of time, I'm just going to go into that one. So here you can see we have this one commitment that was brought over as this subcontract in Flashtract. So I'm just going to click on that. So here in the top left, you can see that we have this vendor, Southeast Sitework, who's assigned to this contract. We can come over here, we can see the terms of the contract. We can come over here and see the required documents that we've set up. So we want to collect an AIA pay app, a Georgia partial lien waiver, and a Georgia final lien waiver. So if we want to invite this sub to collaborate on this job with us, all we need to do is go ahead and click this send invitation. It asks who we want to send it to. So we're going to send it to this person and then click send invitation. So this is going to send them an email letting them know that they've been invited to join and work on this project. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to log out of my general contractor account and log into my subcontractor account. So here you can see we have this new job that appeared on the subcontractor's dashboard. So what they can do is they can click on that. They can see their contract here. They can click on it. They can review the terms of the contract here and make sure it agrees to what you guys agreed upon. And then they can go ahead and accept that project. So the first thing the subcontractor is going to notice is that the schedule of values is incomplete. So what they can do is come down here to this line items box, and they can either manually set up that schedule of values, adding lines individually, or they can just upload it from a spreadsheet. So I'm just going to click this upload from spreadsheet. We have a template right here they can download. I already have one filled out, so I'm just going to click here to find that. Find my SOV upload, and then hit create line items. So this is going to create that schedule of values directly from that Excel spreadsheet. And once it looks good and the sub likes it, they can hit save. So once they want to bill, all they need to do is come down here to this line items box, and they can start to enter in either a dollar amount, a material stored amount, or they can just enter in a percentage, and then we'll just back into the amount that they're billing. And again, we're doing all of the math for the subs, so calculating their payment due, their balance to finish, their retainage, everything like that. So once they agree with everything that they've filled out, they can go ahead and click Save. And then you can see here the math is all updating. So typically they'd be able to go ahead and review these documents and submit this bill. But right now, this is actually grayed out, letting them know that they're out of compliance. So it's telling them that they need to click on the compliance status to upload those compliance items. So you can see here that they need to upload their certificate of insurance. So they can just click on that, click Upload Compliance Document. They can click here to upload their certificate of insurance, find their COI, hit Open, enter in the expiration date so that we can track this and make sure that they don't fall out of compliance. We'll say it just expires at the end of the March, then they can go ahead and click Save. So now what they can do is that they can click Review Documents and Submit Bill. But you can see here that we also have the ability to track second-tier suppliers and subcontractors, and this is asking if they have any new suppliers or supplier documents to add. So what they can do is click Add Suppliers. And then here they can build out that supplier list. So they can just come here, click Add Supplier, put in the company's name. So I'll just say Sitework Supplier. They can put in their phone number, put in an address, and we'll actually search this address for them. And then they can put in a contact name. And this is just to give you a point of contact at the supplier that you can reach out to, just to make sure that they're getting paid. So once I've added that, they can also go in and add different documents related to the supplier. So they could upload a notice of furnishing, any partial lien waivers for those suppliers, things like that. So if they wanted to add, for example, a partial lien waiver for September here, they can come here, say they want to upload a progress waiver, go in, find their progress waiver for their supplier, add that in, and then click Add. So now if I go back to my contract, they can click Review Documents and Submit Bill. It's asking if they have any more suppliers. They can click Submit without adding more suppliers. And then here we're automatically generating all of these documents for their subs. So here's that AII Pay app. So here's the cover sheet, and here's the continuation sheet with that schedule of values. So all they need to do is enter in their 4-digit PIN to e-sign this document, and we are compliant with all e-sign laws. So then they can sign that pay app. And then here's this Georgia partial lien waiver that, again, we're automatically generating for them. So they can just click Sign this document, and then they can go ahead and click Submit. So now that this has been submitted, this is going to notify you as the GC that the sub has submitted their bill. So what I'm able to do now is I'm just going to log out of my subcontractor account and log back into my GC account. So here you can see that we have this pending approval flag on this project, letting us know that there's an action that we need to take. So I'm just going to click on this project here. You can see that there's an amount pending my approval. I can click on that. So I can come down, I can look at this overview to see the payment due amount. I can see their submission attachments here. So here's that AII Pay app. I can download it from here if I want to. Here's this Georgia partial lien waiver. Can download that as well. Can make sure that looks good. I can see that there's a compliance status pending my review. So I can come in here and click on that. I can get a preview from right here. So if this looks good to me, I can mark this compliance item as compliant/reviewed. You can go ahead and look at their supplier list, make sure this looks good to you. You can view the documents here as well. And then lastly, you can just come down to the schedule of values, check to see what they've billed, make sure it makes sense to you. And if this all makes sense to you, you can go ahead and you can approve that bill. So now that this bill is approved, it's almost ready to be exported. But if you remember that I said that typically you don't track costs at this level of detail in Sage, you have it at a commitment item level of detail, and you might have 1, 2, maybe 3 commitment items on a given commitment. So in order to push these costs back into Sage, we need to get it to the right level of detail. So we need to map these line items to those cost codes in Sage. So what I can do here is I can come over to settings, and I can come over here to this mapping tab right here. So here on the left, we have our schedule of values. And then here on the right, we have those commitment items that were brought over from Sage. So I can just come in here, select all this schedule of values line items, and then map them over here to this commitment item. This way we can roll up these costs and allocate them against this commitment item right here. So once this looks good, I can click confirm mapping and then click submit. So now that we've done this mapping, what I can do is I can just go over here to integrations, click start export. And here you're going to have all of your approved invoices. So another thing you'll notice is that we have this export status, just letting you know if you've exported this invoice back into Sage or not. So whenever I want to export this invoice, I just need to select it, click confirm selections, and then hit complete exports. And this is then going to push that invoice along with those submission attachments, so that pay app and lien waiver, back into Sage. So one last feature we have is we do have the ability to manage unconditionals. So let's just say a month, 2 months has passed, you've submitted your owner bill, it's been approved, you've been funded, and you're ready to pay the sub for this pay app. What you can do is you can come here under unconditional management. And here we have all of our approved bills right here ready for you to send an unconditional. So when you want to collect an unconditional to pay the sub, all you need to do is come over here and click send. And then with that, we'll go ahead and we'll send an unconditional to the sub, and we're going to pre-populate that for them. So all they need to do is sign it and send it back to you. And then once you've collected it, you can go ahead and mark this as collected. This way you can track which unconditionals you've collected from your subs so that you know they're ready to be paid. So with that, I'm going to go back into the deck and talk about some configuration options that we have. So the first configuration we have is around the job syncing. So you can set it up to where you can have an auto import of newly created jobs. So this is really a completely hands-off approach as far as the integration goes. As you create new jobs in Sage, those will just automatically flow into Flashtract. You won't need to go into that integrations tab, select the job, and click import. There'll be no manual intervention that you'll need to take to get data into Flashtract. The second option is what we call on-demand sync, and really the only thing that allows you to do is just pick and choose which jobs come into Flashtract. Once you do that initial sync of choosing the job and integrating it, after that, you won't need to do anything else for that job. So really the difference between these two is whether you want that job to automatically flow into Flashtract or if you want to pick and choose which jobs flow into Flashtract. And then the second option we have, this really comes down to how you break out your commitment items. If your commitment items are broken out to a really low level of detail, and that's the same level of detail you want your subs to bill against, we can bring those commitment items in as the schedule of values. So that whole mapping exercise I went to where I mapped the schedule of values to those commitment items, you wouldn't need to do that if your commitment items are at that low level of detail. So this is just allow you to automatically bring your commitment items into Flashtract as the schedule of values and have your sub bill against that.